How to translate an ancient Sumerian sentence. So these are the Gudea cylinders, and they have an inscription on there, just one line, which I'm going to go through in detail with you, only one line, and explain to you how it should be done properly if I was a beginner and I couldn't read Sumerian fluently. So this is the line art from the Gudea cylinder A, and I'm going to use this sentence from that cylinder, which in digital form would look like this. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split all of this up into its noun phrases and its verbal chain. So I'm going to do that now. So what we've got here, I'll just use myself as a cursor. This here, anta, that's one noun phrase. Hey gal, second noun phrase. And the bottom line, ha muratanyen, is the verbal chain. The verbal chain is the hardest one to translate. These two are very, very easy to translate. So I'm going to do a section at a time. Anta, first of all, very simple. We have, this means heaven, and this is the ablative case marker. Heaven, ablative, which, and the ablative, this denotes motion away from something or out of something. Away from, out of. So what it's saying is very simply, from heaven. That's the first part done. Very easy, isn't it? From heaven. But before I move on from this part, I'm going to show you some other possible case markers that could take the place of the ablative. So here are some other options that you could put in the place of the ablative. So rather than saying from heaven, we could use an ra. So the top one, this is actually going to be a little bit slightly different than heaven, because this can also mean sky, but it can also be used as the proper noun, this stylic sign, for the high god of the Anunnaki, Anu, and the dative marker can only be used with a god or a human. So Ra is the dative case marker, so this would be saying for Anu. The rest is just saying exactly what it says up here, it's still saying heaven. So this is the terminative case marker, which takes on a more kind of a dative feel when it's used with like an abstract idea like heaven. So this actually says for heaven. Usually takes on a emotion towards something, whereas the opposite from the ablative. The ablative is away from something. The terminative is towards something. This is the equative. This would say this is like equating something to something, obviously. So it's like heaven. Oh god, oh yeah, also yeah, I've done it right, so for this, rather than. So this is Anna. This is the locative case marker. It's just the A on the end that we're looking at. The N of na is the auslaut from an, the out sound. It carries it on from an, na. Then similarly with the genitive here, the genitive and the locative can have identical forms, but the genitive can also have other forms. This is why I've put the K in brackets. It can have, I've done a video on this, you could go and find it. The genitive has appears in several different ways. And lastly, we have and da, that's the commutative case marker, meaning with heaven. But moving on, this is very simple. Hey gal, this just simply means abundance. And this is another noun phrase. A noun phrase has 5 basic slots or positions even: head noun, modifier, possessor, plural, and then case. This is only filling up position 1. The last one was filling up position 1 and position 5. And then finally we have the verbal chain. The verbal chain is the most complicated chain or phrase to translate in Sumerian. It has up to 15 slots. Gabor Zoliomi puts it at 15 slots. These are all the possible slots of the verbal chain according to Zoliomi. But I think personally that slots 6 and 7 can just be fused together and you can get away with 14 slots. I think that splitting that up makes it far more confusing than what it needs to be, because in that case slot 6 and 7 here, because all that we see up here can be explained sign to word, sign to transliteration. But if we were going to do what Zoliomi suggested here, we'd have to split up this Ra into 2. This would be slot 6 and this would be slot 7, which can just confuse things. And that's one sign. So I'm going to explain it like this. I have put Zoliomi's slots next to it in case you're interested in knowing that and double checking it all. So the first one, ha, this is the modal precative marker. It means may, he, may she, or let her, let him, depending on further context. Mu is slot 4. This is the eventive prefix. It denotes motion coming or going towards the goal of the sentence, or towards the speaker even. Ra, as I just explained, is slot 6 and 7 according to Zoliomi, but I think it's far easier to just fuse them together and call it the second person dative in the verbal chain, because they change from the verbal chain to the nominal phrase. Because if we just wanted to swap to the first person, you just put ma. If you wanted to go to the third person, it would be na. If you want to go to the third person plural, it would be nay. If you want to do the third person inanimate, it would be ba. And they're all one sign. They equate to one sign, so I find that far more simpler. And then ta, that's the ablative. This is cross-referencing the ablated from the very first noun phrase, and ta, from heaven. That's cross-referencing it. And the very last one, yen, that's the verbal stem, or the verbal base, meaning to come or go. So what this is literally saying is, from heaven, abundance, may it, in brackets, come down to you. And this is the eventive, just reaffirming the coming and going. So we could further translate that as, may abundance come down to you from heaven. That's how I would translate a sentence if I was doing it properly without reading it fluently.